When Juliet said to Romeo, "What's in a name?" a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. That's the source for the title of this episode, By Any Other Name. Thank you, Bill Shakespeare. As in a number of other Star Trek stories, the human side of emotions play an important part in this tale. We'll discover that what is sometimes regarded as a weakness, namely our ability to experience strong feelings, can indeed be one of our greatest strengths. This is a lesson Mr. Spock learns again and again, and one that Kirk and McCoy take a great delight in teaching. Now, let's meet the Kelvins, visitors from the Andromeda Galaxy. They're looking for a new neighborhood to move into, and they're about to find out what it's like to be all too human.
It happened during the break between the first and the second season. I got cast in The Green Berets with John Wayne. And so I went off to Georgia to shoot that on location. But before I took off, Gene gave me a stack of scripts for the second season. I'd been lobbying him all during the first season for more for Sulu to do, to involve more organically into the plot. And he kept promising that he'd do it, but it'd have to be for the second season.
What? Who?
Fate would have it. We had horrible weather while we were shooting, and we got way over schedule. Couldn't get back in time for the beginning of the second season. And so another actor was brought in to take those wonderful lines and wonderful scenes that were written for me, for Sulu. And I was still off in Georgia, missing out on episode after episode of Star Trek. It was this young actor, Walter Koenig. Never met him, hated him with a passion. With a sight unseen, I hated the guy. I hated Walter Koenig.
Good, honest hatred. Very refreshing.
Sight unseen, I hated him with a passion.
Friend.
I hated the guy. Never met him.
Chekhov.
And when I finally came back, went to my dressing room, I discovered that I was sharing my dressing room with this hateful young actor. I was livid.
The alien's directly in our line of flight.
Well, I was the helmsman the first season, and I was the helmsman the second season. But the second season, I had this nemesis of mine, Walter Koenig, playing this Russian with this Prince Valiant wig on as a navigator, sitting right next to me. From that shared dressing room, we talked intensely for a long time and got to know a lot about each other. We both went to UCLA, and I knew his wife before he married her. She was a classmate at UCLA, and we found a lot of things in common with each other. So out of that blossomed one of the best friendships I have from Star Trek.
When writer Jerome Bixby came up with the story for this episode, he took the story and the script as far as he could for a first-time Star Trek writer. Then, as on so many other occasions, D.C. Fontana was called in to do a rewrite, once again tweaking it to bring Star Trek's main characters to the forefront. Her favorite edition, Scotty's drinking contest. It's during this debacle that we get to peek inside Scotty's liquor cabinet and sample the best of his old Scotch whiskey, the Saurian brandy, and a liquor from Ganymede, which he identifies only as green.
A rose is a rose by any other name. Okay. That had to do with a very beautiful guest star named Barbara Boucher.
Oh, you are trying to seduce me.
Character's name was Hanar, from the planet Kevlon, I believe. And we were a society that had taken human form. We started out as aliens in human form, and the human form gradually changed our character, and we became more and more human, and then we lost our initiative to do what we were doing, and they won us over. Each one of us, Kevlons, were approached in different ways by the various members of the crew. Dr. Bones did a thing with me. I think he kept injecting me with the equivalent of speed because I kept getting hyper and hyper and hyper from a very cool kind of guy.
Rojan, I want to talk to you.
Very well.
First, I do not like the way responsibility and duty has been portioned out to us.
It's the way your duties have always been
That is
assigned.
my second quarrel with you.
Einar!
Further, I do not care much for the way you run this ship.
Einar, confine yourself to your quarters.
Did something to another crew member, kept giving him alcohol.
Here's your glass.
Kirk, of course, went after the girl, and so she discovered what love was.
Let me try.
And it was also a lot of fun. I got to play an alien in this one and a crew member in the other one.
There's one basic plot problem for By Any Other Name. The writers had to figure out how 6 aliens could take over a starship that had a crew of nearly 400. How was it solved? It was while playing with a souvenir piece of Mexican black onyx that Roddenberry's imagination once again was ignited. Suppose the aliens had a weapon which would reduce that person to their essential being or essence. This was the genesis of the tetrahedron blocks. If the white block is damaged, the person is killed. Fortunately, an intact block could be restored to a living entity. Once again, Gene solved what could have been an unsolvable problem.
Shakespeare said that a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. What he was saying was not so much a commentary on the olfactory properties of roses as much as he was actually commenting on the fact that we cannot change who we are, that our fundamental nature remains the same no matter how we try to mask it. We are who we are, and with all of the advantages that come with being human, there are an equal amount of disadvantages. The key is to be able to recognize the difference. Mr. Scott's drinking partner, Robert Fortier, was a classmate of mine when I was taking acting classes in Los Angeles in the late 50s. Another classmate of ours was Michael Forrest. He played Apollo in Who Mourns for Adonais. Jeff Corey, who would later appear in the 3rd season episode The Cloudminders, was our teacher. Co-writer D.C. Fontana was stuck on the problem of how just a few Kelvins would be able to overtake a crew of 430. For help, she went to Gene Roddenberry. As they discussed the problem, Gene began to push a paperweight around on his desk. It was a piece of onyx that had been carved into, you guessed it, a decahedron. It was with that shape in mind that Gene conceived of the Kelvin's ability to transform humans into 10-sided blocks. That was all Fontana needed, and an episode was born.